Today we have Jhey. He has a very professional setup. Look at his setup. Look at my setup. He is a developer, but not only. He is also an artist, a very sporty person. I like his style. I like his colors. They perfectly fits. Yeah. So how are you, Jhey?
I'm great, thanks. How about you? How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Doing fine. Yeah. So yeah. Would you like to talk to us and say a little bit about yourself? What do you like to do about programming, about developing, and yeah, that kind of stuff. How did you get started? Did you find some
You know what I'm
fun?
going to say right now, don't you? I
No.
know this is recording, but when you're recording, go back to how you were before you were recording.
What? So
I
don't get it.
So before we started recording, we're just chilling, firing. But as soon as you start recording, you went quiet and very sort of like almost scripted. Just relax.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for this because I really need to do this. I need to make practice still, but
Because you,
I don't. Yeah. Thank you for saying this. You're really honest. I'm really looking for honest feedbacks. I already feel more relaxed. Thanks for saying this to me. Maybe because we are, let's say, friends on Twitter.
yeah.
So
And
now,
I will always, this is one thing that people, so I get to this point where people kind of can take it or can't take it, but then I get to a point where I'm like, I'm going to say it. And if you can't take it, then maybe we don't talk. But, but honestly, you have like, I'm always myself. Like, I won't change when that's recording and when that's not. You're still going to get the same answers from me, and I will still talk exactly the same. But with you, you have a great personality. I've just found that out from talking to you for the last half an hour, and it's great. I wish we'd done this earlier, but you can still be you. You don't have to put on a face or anything for YouTube.
But the secret is that I'm not faking. I'm just maybe a bit nervous about making these videos, but I don't want to hide myself. But thank you for saying this. I feel
I don't think
I read it better.
I think when you post to YouTube though, you could just like, I know what you mean. You are yourself, but it's, I had the same thing when I did, when I started screencasting or when I started streaming. You're a bit like, what are people going to think?
Yeah, no.
People love to see authentic you.
Yeah.
And if you're more relaxed, then people watch are more relaxed and they don't get, like, if you start feeling a bit too scripted, people will switch off and turn away. And that's just horribly the nature of things. But you're easy to talk to. So you should just record that style.
Thank you.
Just ignore that. Put a label over that top corner. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you, Jhey. Yeah. So, what about yourself?
What am I up to? Sorry, I missed the question. I ranted for about 5 minutes there.
No, I mean, how did you become a developer? How did you?
Okay.
I'm really honestly into to know that.
So for my road to development, I didn't want to be a developer at all. I actually wanted to be an architect. I wanted to design buildings and the fronts of shops and things, I guess. I don't know really what an architect job entails anymore, but I guess that was what I wanted to do. And I found out that, well, I was basically told that my math wouldn't be good enough to do architecture at university. So I didn't really know what to do. And then my teachers at school were like, you should do computer science. You should go down that route. Like, having only done like Excel and things like that. I barely touched a computer until maybe my late teens, because I was constantly outdoors playing sport or riding my bike. I used to ride BMX a lot. So I used to do a lot of tricks and things, be in the skate park, be spinning downstairs and stuff like that. And
I've seen something.
So I spent a lot of time doing that. And then when it came to doing computer science, I was like, right, I'll go to do this. I found the university I really wanted to go to. So I went to King's College in London, and I loved it. So I was like, I'm going to go to London, and also I can take my bike, and there's loads of great skate parks. And yeah, the first term, I really, really didn't enjoy it. I was at a point where I was like, do you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I won't do it. And then something just clicked. For some reason, the second term, something just like went for me. And then I got really into it. And I think it was a point of, I used to go in all the time, used to do everything. And then I switched that around and started getting all the notes for things way ahead of time. So I'd learn everything, be way ahead. So when I'd go in for things, I'd already know it. I'd have already seen it once. Like I need to do something to learn it. Like I struggle to sit and have someone tell me. I just zone out. Like I need to go and do it again to actually take it all in. So, and I think that's one of the probably leans into kind of how I am. Like I like to learn by making and doing things. That's why I make all these random things. But yeah, I did that, and then I ended up doing my undergrad, and then my parents pushed me to do my master's. So I did a master's in financial systems engineering, and then I ended up sort of getting picked up from my final year project, which was for a financial institution doing like it was doing like UI stuff, but I hadn't really done a lot of UI. I actually started as a middleware engineer. So I started doing Java. That was my original thing, which I think you said you did, or you do.
No. Actually, not. I started with Java. Me too.
Yeah.
We all started with Java. Even Ben Awad, for example, do you know him? Also, he started with Java. So
hey, it's great. Yeah, Java's great. Yeah. But yeah, I started with Java and I did a bit of C#. So like my final year project, I actually had this huge C# book that I pretty much just read front to back to create. I created like so for my final year project in my undergrad, I created a social networking app, like a platform that would do like cross computer with C#. And that was pretty cool. But I had no notion of styling or anything like that. Like my CSS skills went about as far as selecting a color from a box in Visual Studio.
Yeah.
So
the people the people was expecting to that word way before that CSS word. We have started this at 10 minutes, I think. Yeah.
I didn't dig into this stuff like till way later. In fact, so I started as a middleware engineer and I was terrible. And then I wasn't terrible. I couldn't grasp the concepts very well. And I ended up doing, especially for the role I was doing, I struggled a lot with it. But I ended up getting put on like a front end project where I was able to do UI things. And it was the first time I kind of seen the DOM. And I always remember sort of shoulder surfing a colleague while he worked out how to create this like this UI element. I think it was Dojo framework. But he was like doing this thing and he was like inspecting things in the DOM and he was like using console logs or whatever to see the values in the inspector. And I was like, wow, this is rocket science. What is going on here? So I ended up getting put on that. And then I kind of found out how accessible front end was because you could just open a browser, run it in a text editor, start hacking away. And then I moved on from that role and I actually ended up being a front end engineer somewhere else. And yeah, I just kind of really got into it then. And even until a few years in, I never really bothered doing anything outside. It was always, let's get to 5 o'clock or, you know, as soon as I can to get to football training or to get out doing something else. Like development was just pay the bills and that's great. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like
before being a developer, I was a volleyball coach, a volleyball trainer. So I
see that picture of you.
Did you like that? Yeah.
You've got lots of secrets. We need to switch this around and I ask you the questions. You have an interesting past, I believe.
Yes. So you don't have to sit in front of a computer for all your life to be a developer.
No,
this is also maybe one of the reasons why I like to talk to you. I always look for sporty people. Also, if I only follow developers, my best connections are the sporty developers. So also if I look for people who just post the coding things, when I see when you pull up yourself, I always comment them. There's
a world outside the desk. That's what, like, a lot of people get drawn in, especially at the moment where like you can't get outside or anything. But yeah, well, I was going to say, I didn't start doing any sort of outside coding or learning on myself until I got really, I can't remember what happened. I ended up making a, you know, like the classic, so you know, the classic people make a to-do app. I think we had like an initiative where I worked at the time, which was to explore something new or try something new. And at the time, HTML5 drag and drop was like on the scene. So I made a to-do app where it was like post-it notes that you could just drag around using the API. It was pretty ugly, and but it worked. And it was just a one file HTML thing. And I shared it around a bit, and people were like, "Oh, that's really cool." So I then took it, and I just thought, oh, I'll just make it, I'll go a bit further with it, create a bigger to-do app, And I ended up sharing it online on a Hacker News. And it ended up being, it sat at #1 for like over a day.
I remember.
And there was just people like slamming it, saying like, you need to improve the UX, you need to, but I just consumed all that. Like, these are great pointers from people that know what they're talking about. And it kind of drove me to make more things. So like I started digging in. It was around the time of like 3D CSS being quite popular and animations coming in. So I just sort of sat in that point where before I learned about how layouts and things worked properly, I was creating cubes and animations before I actually understood how to do things like typography. So my CSS learning was kind of backwards maybe, but yeah, that's kind of where it went. And then I just started making more and more things. And then as I was contracting, I would just make stuff, just random stuff on the side for fun. And then I found Codepen, and then it kind of just went from there. I could keep talking about this for so long, but I know we have limited time, but it kind of went from, and I can still remember the day, I basically made some Codepens and I'd started an account. I'm one of those people that are always hesitant to create accounts on things. I don't know, it's one of those weird things about me. But I made one on there, and it's probably one of the best things I ever did, really, because I started making pens. And one day I was on site for a client, and I remember going into the office one day, and someone just piped up and I said, "Oh, I saw your demo on the front page of Codepen." I was like, "What are you on about? Like, I don't know what you're on about." So when I got to my desk, I checked it. I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. Like, something I made is on the front page, and there's people like commenting on it or stuff, or, you know." You can see that people have viewed it. So I was like, okay, cool. Maybe I'll keep up with that. And then it just kind of went from there. And then I'd be like, what do I want to make? I'll go from there. And it's just snowballed into constantly making things. I think, yeah, and it's an interesting time to talk about this because I'm actually writing an article about all of this. So I'm writing various places, and I've done kind of talks about this, which is essentially don't be worrying about the why or the how, just focus on the what. So get an idea, write all your ideas down. Then when you want to make something, just go ahead and try and make it, and don't worry about the why or the how. If I worried about the why, I wouldn't make as much. So take, for example, the project I released last week. It barely has, I mean, it's not a critical app to be able to draw onto your GitHub profile, but I learned so much from doing it that people, you know, I could say, right, well, I made something with Electron. I did it in React. I got a chance to use React hook form, and I pulled in some green sock, and I messed around with Cheerio, and I used serverless functions. General sort of apps don't, like the basic to do doesn't normally give you that opportunity. So that's kind of, I feel like I've rambled for about 5 minutes here, but that's kind of like
we are not limits here. It's one of the good things. Yeah, you can talk. Yeah,
but I remember you saying like you kind of want this, people that are new, you kind of want something for them to action, and that's something that when I've written for Smashing Magazine, they always like the articles. We always have like you do like a draft basically, and then it's always about making sort of actionable things for people to read. So I think if people were to listen or like watch this, then if you're new, an actionable thing I think is to don't be afraid to go off the normal path. Like, so for me, I don't know, because I'm not learning now, so I don't know what the normal path is, but I tend to see a lot of people will be following like tutorials, and I imagine a lot of the tutorials do a very similar thing, which is like we've mentioned various times, the classic to-do app. Like, we're going to create like a React app where it's you know, create, read, update, delete. Like, that's, and it's like a rite of passage, right, to create the to-do app.
Yeah.
But once you've done it, like, try and put some bells and whistles on it, or think of something completely different that no one will have seen before, and you'll learn like so much from doing it. Don't be afraid of the how, just dig in and find out how as you go along. Like, no idea is ridiculous, because you'll always learn something from it. So I get it a lot. I get a lot of people comment on things or message me and say, why would you make that? Why would you do that? And it's like, well, one, why not? And two, I learned from doing it.
Yeah. You can also, you can also answer, why are you making this question to me?
It's a crazy one. Like, so I had this really big, I get this a lot with, so, you know, like the whole CSS drawing thing. So some people love that. And there are people out there that really despise it almost. They're like, oh, this is pointless. Like, why are people doing this? Just use an SVG or an image. Well, yeah, use an SVG or an image. It makes perfect sense. And I'm not advocating that you drop some 1,000-line CSS drawing into your production app. But if you can do it, then, you know, it gives you a way of leveling up your CSS skills. So you can like learn how the different properties work, or test the limits, or see how the browser responds to different things. It's, I get it all the time. Like, people, especially, sorry, just another example. When I create the animated buttons, so I've done some of these buttons where like you click and something ridiculous happens. I get questions about that all the time. I'd be like, yeah, it's great, but what's the practical use case? Well, I don't really have a practical use case for a launch button unless I'm going to sell this to NASA or something.
Maybe they don't get the art idea. It's like making someone drawing and say, why are you drawing? You can just take a photo with your camera, but it's not about that.
That's a really good way of putting it, actually. That is a really good way of putting it. I feel like, especially with front end, and you have a big opportunity to be as creative as you want, and with any development really, especially side projects and things, you have, you know, your only limit is up here. I always used to say to any of my clients, when they came up with ideas, it was always, and it might have shot me in the foot a few times, but I always delivered. But I'd always say, if you can put it on paper, I can create it. Like, I will make it happen. There's no sort of bounds. We'll find a way. And people used to love that. But it's true. Like, like, don't be limited.
I don't know if I remember well this, but that you actually draw things before doing them.
Yeah. So I've started doing this on stream, and it's annoying that I can't show you, but I have this camera that we were talking about a moment ago, and then I actually have so I even made a demo of this book, but this is the book. And then normally what I do is I do like an overhead shot where I sketch my ideas before I do them. So a lot of ideas are in here. So like, I did one I can kind of show you. So this was like what I was going to do for Halloween. So it was like, I go through the process of, I'm going to create a button, and this is how it's going to animate. I didn't actually make the button in the end. I made part of it, and I'll make the rest next year. But for the project I was creating for October, I did the whole, you know, I sketch out all the ideas. People see the whole process from start to end. So there's only a few hours missing from that whole process of creating that. And the first stream, I think, for doing Vincent.
I've seen you pretty active on as a live streaming. So you want to talk a little bit about your experience? Yeah, but I don't know if in which time zone are you, but maybe you're streaming during nights. Is that correct? Or during evenings or not?
well, I do it all sorts of times. I need to get better at doing a regular schedule. So
yeah, because sometimes I'm about to go to bed. I check my phone and I see Jhey is alive. It's so strange. Sometimes it's
but you get up at like 4 a.m. for a run, so
yeah. So I should, yeah. So I need to go bed, or maybe it's me that I go to bed too early. Maybe, yeah. Maybe that's it. We need to catch up on our times. Otherwise,
we need to get more in sync.
Yeah. To be more in sync. Yeah, but yeah, please convince me to come.
Yeah, the live stream is an interesting one. So for me, and I don't know how you found it, obviously we started speaking probably the start of the year, right? That's when we sort of met. And that's crazy. That's almost a year. Like that's flown by.
Yeah, I'm still in March. I'm still saying, okay, it's March.
Yeah. And I was about to say, like, it still feels like we're in March. So March was like a catalyst for a lot of things for me this year. I actually ended up feeling like I'm busier than ever because obviously I was still working full time. And it was kind of like right, well, I can't play football at the weekends now because obviously that's all cancelled. I don't train during the week. The gyms are closed. What do I do with all this time? And I was like, still creating content, still creating demos and things.
Yeah.
And I'd had it suggested to me a few times that I should do like YouTube or live streaming. And I was like, I have no idea what that is about or how I would do it. I'd be interested in it. So yeah, some people suggested, hey, we just want to, and I put out, I think on Twitter, I asked like, what would people like to see if I did something, or should I bother doing something? And people were like, and I know that's like the worst thing to do on Twitter is to ask if I should do something. If you're asking if I should, you should just do it anyway. It's one of them. Like,
I remember, I know this. I want to create a poll when people will actually say no. I'm still planning. It's actually impossible
because everyone's always going to say, "Just do it, just do it." Like, should I write a blog post about? No, just do it and just release it. So but yeah, the live stream one was more so to find out what people would see, but people wanted to see the stuff I was making. So people always ask like, oh, how'd you do the SVG animation? Or how'd you do like this JavaScript thing? Or how'd you do the CSS stuff? So I was like, I'll do it. I will make a live stream. And what I'll do is I will put out a poll and I will create options of demos I have on my list. And I'll create it from start to finish. And I'll do the planning and everything.
I remember that I have voted one of them. I was working and I saw your poll and I voted. I can't remember even which one it was there.
I need to bring it back. Because I was doing it quite regularly. So I would do every Friday. And when I first started, like this is an exact example of just jump in and do it. I started streaming off of a ultra wide screen, poorly lit, like webcam, anything, just off of my Mac, just doing the stream, just getting out there and people interacting and seeing it. A lot changed. I've actually worked out how to do things a little bit better. So I have the lights. I have, fortunately, Egghead, I have this awesome mic. And I actually have a dedicated machine that streams the Mac and everything and capture cards and all this zazz. I wrote an article about it. I don't know how YouTube works, but you could probably put it there. But yeah, it kind of went from that, and people were saying, oh, we really like seeing the process. So the fact that you go from an idea, which is just like 5 words on a poll, and seeing that whole process of taking an idea right through to something complete and giving someone a link at the end with the code. The only issue with that is some of my ideas end up being quite elaborate, and I could end up on a stream for like 4 hours, 6 hours sometimes, and it's just really hard to maintain. So I actually end up becoming quite exhausted from doing it, and pulled back from doing it for a bit. And then I've kind of picked it up again, but realizing that it's okay to do a little and come back to things, which is kind of why I kind of stopped doing the poll, because I kind of felt like whenever I did the poll, I needed to finish whatever was voted for so people could see it. But I have a lot of fun with it. There's a lot to learn as well. I think it's one of those things where I like learning. So obviously I pick up all the gadgets along the way, and I have like I don't know if you've seen, but I have like this deck thing.
I don't have this sort of things. I know why they exist, but I've never used them.
So this is a Stream Deck, but it's handy as well just for general sort of use. So I use it a lot for doing screencasts and stuff, but for like the editing, and I do it for capturing and like music playback. But when I'm on stream, I have it connected to my stream machine, and me being me, instead of worrying about or instead of prioritizing getting things done like nice layouts and stuff, one of the first things I did for my stream was setting up animations that play over the top of the image. So when users type in the chat, so like if a user types exclamation kitty in the chat, like you see a kitten fly up from the bottom of the screen with a jetpack on, or like you can type all sorts of commands. So like I come up, essentially what happens is the demos I create for Codepen, if I feel like they're a good fit, they end up being an overlay animation on my stream so people can fire them. So like I have one for, one is called Ship It. So if people write ship, a shipping container boat comes along, like takes something and pushes it along. But yeah, it's kind of, it's a lot of fun. But it's one of them, like I said, March, and it's been the same for a few of us that like chat to each other. It's kind of been crazy what has happened between March and where are we now? The 23rd of March. So the last 20 days have been incredible. But but no,
it's about to end, I think. Yeah.
So it's like that was one thing that came up. Streaming was a thing that came up. Screencasting was a thing that came up. Creating an ebook, that's something that came up. Like they're all things that I didn't really envision doing this year. But
you are talking to a person who was just, I don't know if you have seen my video of my challenge video. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Everyone has seen that. Yeah, but it was really just working on Docker. I was happy. I was an happy developer in a corner. And then I started making this sort
I feel
of
like
thing.
this is something where, so we know you do the Docker, but what's your general day like? Are you like a DevOps person or?
I usually work in Docker in production. So I started with just backend where I work. Then I started with and front end also a little bit, but then on a brand new project I worked with full stack JavaScript. So Node, a basic stack with Node, Postgres, Angular front end, and that's it.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm joking. This is a joke. Yeah, of course. Yes. So that's it. And then, but they were not using Docker when I started. So just one year ago. So when they started using Docker, I already knew Docker since 3 years. So it has been pretty good to know that.
Which YouTuber is it that? Is it Ben Awad that doesn't like Angular? Is that which YouTuber is it that always makes Angular jokes? Is it Ben Awad?
Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, I just wanted to remember
I had him on this show. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it. I've been, like I said, we had this chat, and I've been MIA.
One of my best ones.
I'll check that one out
later.
But because it's funny that you mentioned Angular, because I was going to say, because we were talking about how to make things like relatable to people, and one of the big ones is obviously when people are like, I want to do freelance and I want to go freelance, and I think people overthink it, and it's hard to jump from a position of comfort to something that you have no idea about. But my advice and my experience would be just do it, and if you don't like it, you can always go back. Which is, you'd be surprised. Like the first time around I did freelance, I was almost not forced into it. That's wrong, because it's still my choice. But I ended up, I was doing the full-time role thing, and I found a job. I actually moved from my job to another job, which was a little bit further away. And I thought, this is it. It's a big name. Most people have heard of it, and I was like, this is it. It paid a bit more, but it was very good. It was like a VP position of like UI or something like that, and I was like, this is it. within 3 months, I actually found that I hated it. I really, really hated it. I didn't like the corporate style of things, which might be obvious. And, and the traveling further, I actually ended up making less money, I think, than I did where I was. So I ended up becoming unhappy, spending more time out of the house because I was having to travel further. And yeah, this is when I kind of found a point where I was getting really into like learning on the side, and I wanted to be surrounding myself with people that also had that kind of same vibe, that were like not necessarily working on it 24 hours a day, but like were interested in it. I don't want to use the word passion because that drives some people up the wrong way, but it's one of them. Like I wanted to be around people that also interested in learning, like learning, and you know they enjoy it, and it just wasn't happening there. So I was like, right, I'm going to do contract or freelance, and I'm just going to leave. And I had like no savings or anything. I still had to pay rent where I was living at the time. And I was like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I didn't work for months. I didn't have any work. And I was kind of worried at one point that nothing was going to happen. And, but you find a way. You do, because you have to. Like, that's just it. Like, nothing's going to happen for you. You have to go out there and do it. And the thing that Angular kind of prompted in my mind was, I remember taking on a contract, and it was actually a contract that I really enjoyed in the end. I really enjoyed it from the start. The people I met were fantastic. I learned a lot, and I knew nothing about Angular when I started, and it was a full-on Angular project, and I was like the main developer on it, the main like front-end developer. There were a couple others, but I was like the lead almost on it, and did this project, and it was like an award-winning thing in the end. It's part of an award-winning like tool suite for this company, which is also another big company, but I don't know which ones I'm allowed to say. They might be redacted, you know, name redacted ones, but I knew nothing about it, and just dive in the deep end and you find your way. And I think that's one thing that sometimes puts people off about freelance or taking on things like that. Like, oh, I don't know everything, I can't do it. You learn on the way. Like, honestly, contracting and freelance, like an accelerated learning environment, because you either learn it or they get someone else.
Yeah. This is simple, but this is what actually happened. So yeah.
And it's an interesting world, especially we were chatting earlier and saying like, who do you ask when you don't know like anyone else? So we were saying like, for me, I don't have any, you know, I don't go out and see my developer friends because I don't really have any developer friends that I know nearby physically. They're all online. They're all people that I know online. So I couldn't just go, and this is before I was really on socials, so I can't really go, how did you get on with freelance? How did you find it? Like, there's no one to ask. You just find out. You just find, like, nowadays, people can just put a tweet out and be like, hey, I want to learn how to freelance. How do I do it? 10 people will have written an ebook about it, and there'll be a load of people that are happy to help you. But like, so it's crazy.
Yeah. And let me promote this channel a little bit, because soon I'll publish the Kyle Prinsloo video. So if you are about freelancing, go check that.
I was about to mention his name, but I thought you should.
So that's it. So this is important. I think that, as you said, for a period of your life, if you need money, there's no problem with that. Of course, no one is about to judge you if you do something. But I think it's more about your mindset. Maybe you can do just a full-time job for a period, but maybe you need to keep your mind active. And being a developer, I think that for us it's even more important, because maybe for other jobs, maybe you can just keep going and then one day quit. But if you get bored when you are sitting at a computer, it starts getting hard. If you just move, I've nothing wrong with people that moves boxes and they get the money, but I think it's easier because maybe, and if you are stressed, if you are hungry, maybe you can always do that. But to code and to sit in front of a monitor, I don't know, watching your clock is not the best way to live.
No, and I find there was actually, you've kind of hit a chord on something there. So there's well, I could kind of quote someone on it, but basically I've been told in the past that, and I don't want to sound like I'm blowing my own trumpet. I'm not, but I basically was told, like, as good as I am at what I do, I'm also a very sort of almost an unemployable person, because I like to be, like you say, I want to keep things fresh. So I want to keep, and this could be seen in my career, because initially I would be like a year or so in, I'd be like, I want to go do something new. I want to do something new. I want to keep progressing. I want to keep learning. And that was why, while I was at Nearform, it was really great, because I'd do different projects. So it kept me kind of fresh. And that was the longest role I'd been in. But prior to that, it was all contracting, freelancing, because it's like, this keeps me fresh on something.
So no problem with Nearform. It's not their fault. They are.
Oh, no.
Really a great company.
Nearform was great. It actually was probably, and I say this, I'll sing their praises all day long, but it was probably one of the best fits for me, because of how they are structured. I don't think I could have worked anywhere else as a developer. I've yet to find anywhere that would fit me as well. So yeah, shout outs to Nearform.
Nice. So thank you for this. So maybe we can talk a little bit more. Let's do this a little bit longer. We can talk a little bit about how is your social experience, because I want to listen to this, because you maybe some change
in terms of how are we going, social platforms.
Usually I ask this because maybe some people can follow you. So when you are more active, and also
obviously Twitter. That's how we found each other.
Of course. And and also, I don't know, whatever you want. If you want to talk about, for example, your live streams, how's your experience with the people? Are the people coming to your live streams? Are they coming from Twitter, or maybe from some other parts?
Because that'd be interesting to know, actually. I feel like it's a mix of both. So I obviously we know each other through Twitter, which is one of the great parts of 2020. But but Twitter's a strange one, because like in January, like I'd push things out and it was great, and I started kind of sharing things, but I've always been making stuff. I just never really, I'd push it out and be like, yeah, great. And then when things started happening from it, then it was like, whoa, this is crazy. So, technically I've become an egghead instructor because of Twitter, because someone said this person would be great for doing CSS screencasts. Get this person in. And it was like, wow, that's happened because of, engaging with people, sharing things, and people helping each other out on there, which I'm very grateful for. It's crazy. But at the same time, it has its drawbacks and downfalls, which we were talking about earlier, which is that it can become completely exhausting if you are...
I usually call the Twitter algorithm the beast, in a bad sense, that it must be fed every day, every 4 hours, every 6 hours. I still remember that I was really pretty active on Twitter, but then it was my birthday. I didn't post it for like 2 days. It's not that bad, but when I posted again...
Did you hear the voices? Did you hear the voices saying, come back, come back?
But I didn't care, because I was just... relaxing. But when I posted again, like it was like 1 day without posting, it had almost zero interaction, so it was not shown on timelines. This is a little bit exhausting. It is also one of the reasons of this series. Please let's keep this series keep going, because I don't want to stay all day long on Twitter, please, because after a while it becomes possible. So we need to get out of this.
It's such an interesting platform, just because it's great, and at the same time it's like it can become so exhausting for people. Like I think, like you say, you want to be, and I do the same thing. I've gone through spells where I've done the same thing. It's like, well, I need to put something up like at least 3 times a day, so I've shown that I'm still existing in the world, which is like, it's a horrible place to be. that you're trying to do that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's quite actually the opposite, that you are not on Twitter, so you're actually doing other things. So people says, "Oh, he was doing nothing." Instead, for example, in August when I did my running videos, I don't know if you ever watched some of them.
Yeah, they were great.
I woke up at 4 a.m. Then I did the 10 hours, or maybe 4 hours to record. Then I came back to my house, and I started recording for another 8 hours. And one good thing is that when I edit my videos, I don't use Twitter. Otherwise, I can't edit, basically. Yeah, and people start saying, "Oh, why are you not? Why you are so? I don't know. You are not that active this period." And I was like, I wake up every day. I was running like 10 kilometers in the morning, running like
always
strange.
There's a great book on. So I think the reason, I assume the reason you say you can't use it during is because it will be too much of a distraction. But if you want quick wins while you're doing your editing, just post a photo of you editing, stick that up, and someone will enjoy it. Because there's a book that I highly recommend. I don't actually have a physical copy because I gave it away. But
is it a promotion or not? Do we have to put a banner promotion or not? Because,
well, I recommend all of his books actually. It's a book called Show Your Work. So it's about content creation. And essentially what they say is, or what he says is, share your progress. So share anything, share your process, because that's what people are interested in. So it's easy to share a polished product, and it kind of falls back to what we were saying about streaming. Like some people do streams where they show you a very polished article of like, this is how you create something, and it's very scripted, and but whereas people are actually more interested in the process and seeing that. So like some of the compliments I've had from my streaming is where I've had an absolute meltdown on the screen and literally wanted to sort of throw my keyboard out the window, but then 5 minutes or 10 minutes later I've solved the problem, and people love that because they see that I was going through an absolute like nightmare of trying to solve something, but then I solved it, and people are like, he's normal. People love that.
For example, Awad, who has been here in this show, let's call it a show. He doesn't like the full polish style. He hadn't edited his first 500 videos, for example. So it's just they are full of errors, of mistakes, and I think that the people that are really interested in, for example, your personality, I think is not a problem in that case. So I don't know, there are different ways of communication. But I think
that kind of reels back onto Twitter though, right? Because that's the highlight reel. People only put up things that like that are good, or like that they think people will enjoy. But sometimes people just want to see like, this is where it went completely wrong, or like I really struggle with this, but then I found a way over the hill. It is interesting, and it's nice to see when people do share that side of things, because you kind of can appreciate like, oh, they don't do everything right first time, especially for beginners. Like we haven't touched on it much, but I get a lot of inboxes like, oh, how did you get to this level with CSS, or how I know we said we weren't going to mention the CSS word maybe till later, but I get a lot of them, and it's like, it's just practice. But if you could see the process of like the times where it's really like stressed me out, where I can't solve something or I can't work something out, like you'd understand that it just takes time and a lot of practice really to get to that level. It doesn't just happen overnight. I didn't just pick up
this is a secret. This is an exclusive of this channel it's not happening overnight. Because
I mean, I have the you pick up a lot of things, and now I'm lucky that no, not lucky, it's a lot of hard work, but I can just jump in a file and I can make something out of, like, I don't need to really reference much. I just go in and do it. It takes time to do that. At the moment I'm doing this no div drawing thing for the month. So every day I do a new CSS drawing, but I don't use any elements. I just use the body tag. So technically I am using the element. I'm using the body, but
yes, I've seen something recently. Maybe yesterday, I've seen something with natively. Yeah.
I've got 3 to do that I made on Saturday. So I did 3 in a day. I streamed all of them, and I'm gonna share them this week because that's another one. I don't know how you find it, but like weekend socials, it's always like, do you post? Do you not? Like people haven't. I don't know. I never know. I don't really hot on the algorithms like some of you people.
well, basically, do you know about the analytics of Twitter? Or
I see a bit. I'm checking out. I've been checking out Danny's course. I've not got all the way through it yet. So what I've seen so far is pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another one to promote.
I think but I think that it depends on what you want to do. For example, in my case, I've used by the Twitter analytics. I don't know if this works for you, for your personality. Maybe you like most to focus on something else. So, for example, for me, for other people, for example, Ravin, do you know him? Ravin was here. He's from India. He uses a lot of analytics. He's very consistent. So it depends on what you want to do, what kind of person you are.
I think for me,
I think that maybe for you, this is not. Maybe you are consistent in a different way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not offending.
No.
Yeah,
I take it however it comes. So it doesn't. You can say whatever you like. It's like we were saying earlier. I think. So you know that I have like a thing where it's like, I hate seeing these things where people list the resources and then they're like, hey, check out this, and like they give you a load of links, but they put a space, so it doesn't show as a link, and it's like, come on, like things like that just really annoy me.
I think sometimes I do that. And I think one time we say to me, why don't you put your links in your tweet? Because basically, let's explain this. If you put your links in your tweet, the Twitter algorithm doesn't like that, so it doesn't show to people. So you have to.
This is what always makes me laugh about this, right?
Yeah. So you have to.
Where is that written?
Yeah. So I don't know why they put that in the code, but basically you have 2 options. You put the link in another tweet. It's basically what normal people do, and I am among those normal people. Instead, otherwise you could don't care about that and just put that in the tweet, for example. And so so you don't like
I just find it
around the Twitter algorithm.
I just find it really.
You want to face him. You want to face him.
I feel like I sometimes see it and I feel like it's a myth, like that is what happens, because I've never personally done that. So like whenever I share a demo, well, I probably have done it I won't say I've never done it. I must have done it in some cases, but I always think like, I look at how I post things, and if I post a link to a demo, the demo link is right there. But I don't know if maybe I get away with it because I drop a video in, which maybe the algorithm doesn't like the OG card. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I don't want to talk about Twitter algorithms. It's not my ballpark.
I don't know, but I wanted to let you know that every time that I do the link in another Twitter, I still remember that comment every day, and it hurts me every day. So
I'm sorry.
That's it. But I do it anyway because I did that. So we're joking. That's it. So thank you, Jhey. Also, thank you for your honest feedback, because I'm really looking for that. I'm almost 40, so I really need feedbacks about what I'm actually doing, because people maybe they like the show, but of course I can improve. I still I'm getting a little bit out of this comfort zone. So let's say that I'm the middle phase. I don't know how to call that.
I think
an example in my case, it's not that normal. As you see, when I'm recording, I'm still in the middle. That I'm a little bit anxiety, but I don't know. Maybe sometimes, when I'm more relaxed, I as you've seen, I speak more freely. I don't know how.
It's definitely noticeable. I noticed it because obviously before you hit record, we were just chilling back, throwing things left and right.
But thank you because maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm doing this for people, so I don't know. I'm still in doing experiments about that. Thank you.
I think it goes back to what we were saying before, though, which is, and I think I can't remember where I read this, or it might even be from Danny's video, that it's like a case of it's much easier to be yourself than to be what you think other people want to see. So to try and please everyone is very hard, but to be yourself and just please yourself, then others will come and they see your authentic self. Not that you're not being authentic, but like more relaxed.
I think that it's not that I'm not myself. It's not that that I'm just a little bit of anxiety about that. So I'm not really super comfortable, but I don't know. I'd like to watch this kind of videos maybe in 1 year, and I'll be the most famous speaker in the world. I will be an anchorman on the BBC, but I don't know. I really don't know that. I don't know that.
It's one of those just like we said before, it's hard to word it because you are being yourself, but because you know that this will be online for everyone to see, it is a bit scary. Like I've posted a couple of YouTube videos for things I've made, and it's like, oh, it's a bit scary. Like people are going to watch that. But I think if you approach it in the mindset of, do you know what? It doesn't matter. Just put it out there and just see what happens. Like one of the Egghead founders, I can't show you because it's above my desk, but he has this tattooed on his wrist. I have a sticker of it though, which is that. So I don't know how PC or PG rated this YouTube video is. So that acronym obviously means something, and it's just do it. So that's kind of what I try and remember by having it above my desk, which is just get on and do it. And I think with that kind of like worrying or being anxious about things, I just kind of think, do you know what? Whatever. Like just be yourself, and if people don't like it, they don't like it. But the ones that do will, and you don't have to worry. You can just be yourself. I approach that, and it kind of leans onto like interviews and things like that for people. Like I spoke to a few people about interviews and interview technique recently, and I always say just be yourself, just be relaxed, and whatever happens, like it happens. Like there's no point in trying to. People get so worked up. Something will happen. Something will come along, and people always say as well. They'll always say, "Well, that's easy to say. You know, you're a senior engineer for so and so." Well, I'm not anymore, so I'm still saying it.
That's the proof. So thank you, and I'm also inviting all my friends because I'm really looking for. They help me also to say something, point out something. So. Thank you for this, Jhey. I don't think that I'll cut that part.
No.
And so
I feel like there's more. We could have done 3 hours.
Yeah,
because we've got like 8 months of talking that we haven't done. Like so.
Finally, I'm happy. I'm happy. Yeah, this gives me this opportunity to talk with you finally. I've seen you many times. Your board is always perfect.
No, it's not. Like honestly, the camera does wonders for it. I watched it especially for you, though. So.
Well, thank you. So thank you. I hope to see you soon. That's it.
We should. Well, the thing I don't know, like if you're at the point of unrecording or whether you'll snip this bit off, but if we haven't really touched on many of the things we said we were going to. So we didn't actually. We never even really talk about tech. We didn't even talk about CSS, which is interesting because obviously that was one thing we said. Let's talk about that. That's what people know me for, but we've not actually touched on that subject at all. So maybe we should do another one when you're not scheduled in, because you've got like 100 guests now to get through. So maybe we could put this one on back burner, and you can pull me back in and take the best bits or whatever and split it in one.
With people which are not that confident, I became confident for them. So I have them with people more confident than me, like you. I get some problems still, but it's totally fine. I admit that because I think that by admitting a problem, you are one step forward to solve them. I want 100%. to solve them. I don't really give. I'll cut this, but I don't give up about what the problem could be. But and that's it. But I'm getting there because I need to do 100 of them, so they're not quite a few. And when I get, because I have one thing in my mind to show people that they can do this, because I've seen so many people that they are stuck, because I've been there. I've bought that camera 10 years ago, and every year I said I need to post one video on YouTube every day, every year. And finally this year I made this, but I still feel the struggle. So I'd like to help people that they are not confident. Maybe I think that they may be watching me, that I'm not so much, because if you see one super comfortable people, you say I'm not like him. I can't do that. It's not for me. Instead, I think yeah, I've done